They've used the term national security tariff. We had Shashi Tharoor yesterday who called it sanctions. How do you look at national security tariff as just the way it has been framed and sort of pushing India in that?
I'm not going to get into definitional debates. My point is a very clear point, which is that we are buying oil to stabilize the oil markets. Yes, it is in our national interest. We have never pretended otherwise, but we also say it is in global interest. And you call it what you will. I don't think that is the relevant point. I think the relevant point is that levying tariffs on a country for doing what it has been doing openly and which other countries continue to do in larger volumes than us, is, in our view, unfair and unjustified. Beyond that point, whether you call it this or that, I don't think makes a difference.
How do you see the road ahead?
Well, I see the road ahead as, we are two big countries. We need to have conversations. We are, as I said, the lines are not cut. People are talking to each other. And we will see where that goes.
We hear that an ambassador has been appointed.
Yeah, I read about it too.
No views yet on that?
Look, I am a foreign minister. I don't comment on ambassadorial appointments of other countries, that too in public.
No, but it's a good development in one way if you would consider it. I'll leave that to you. But you are also, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, you were the first person to go into Kremlin after Alaska?
Not as the first foreign minister.
Yes.
Foreign minister to visit Russia and I guess so.
And met Putin.
Yeah, I guess so.
What is the sense you got of that conversation? Everybody's linking us to that conversation as well.
Well, there were two parts to it. I mean, one part of it was our own relations, and we have a practice of annual summits with the Russians. We are planning one at the end of the year. So a lot of it was devoted to what would happen there. It's an annual exercise. That's how the relationship grows. And I am like the account keeper for the non-military side of it. So the way it is divided is defense minister manages the military side. I do the rest. So a lot of it was devoted to what would happen, what's happening in our relationship, where are we going, what will we do, things like that. And there were some good developments. I think our trade has grown a bit. We would like to grow it further. There's been some mobility of people. We would like to see that increase. We want more market access in Russia, things like that. The other part of it, of course, was the global picture, and particularly since President Putin had come out of Alaska, so he spoke to me about his views on, what was happening, and so.
Could you give us a window or an understanding of how that conversation has gone and how it's looking in the ground since you're coming from there?
Well, obviously I'm constrained in many respects in doing that, but overall, look, where we stand, we've been very clear from the very start that we would like to see an early end to the conflict. We've also taken the view that in any conflict, it's for the parties concerned to sort it out. Okay? Now, in this particular case, because the parties concerned are also comfortable and the Americans took the initiative, we've been supportive of the efforts, because we're supportive of any efforts which would bring about that change. Now, it is a very complex situation there, because there are military complexities, there are political complexities, there's a whole history there. It involves, NATO, European Union. So there are a lot of moving parts there. So it's not as simple as sometimes it appears, in the media. But, overall, as I said, our good wishes are there for an early end to the conflict on terms which obviously the two sides have to settle.
Mark the Alaska round as good progress as far as you know?
Certainly, I think it would be a fair assessment, and you don't need a meeting with President Putin to say that. I think it was visible that in Alaska, a lot of things were talked about and some things were agreed about. So to that extent, yes, it was progress.
We are fresh out of Operation Sindoor, and we saw the conflict, the way it played out and the way the Pakistanis fought with the help of Chinese, not just equipment, but as our military officials have also gone on record of, live cooperation between China and Pakistan. At the same time, you've had conversations which relate to India-China relationship, and there has been improvement on the northern borders, and your disengagement process has also moved at a decent pace, which has led to certain positive outcomes on the bilateral front. We now see a lot of easing up of economic restrictions which the Chinese had made. Now, how do we read it? Because there are some quarters which say there's a reset, or is it just normalization? How does industry also here understand it? Because China is an important economic partner.
The nature of your business, media, in a way, is to correlate what happens with something which happened immediately before or in the same time frame. It's natural, understandable. The nature of my business is really to pursue relationships, accounts, problems over a much more extended timeline. I think that's important to understand, especially in this particular case. Now, take China. What is actually on the agenda with China? We have problems which go back to the 1950s, which is, for example, the boundary question. Okay? So, because other things happen, that has not gone away. In fact, that is very much still at the center stage, and it is, in fact, the maintenance of the peace and tranquility in the border areas that is a prerequisite for development of the relationship. So you have, I would say, a 50s, 60s, 70s, almost, I would say 60 years, 70 years of, 80 years now of that problem. Then we have an issue which started in the early 2000s after China entered the WTO, which is the beginning of a trade deficit, and it rapidly became a concern. It didn't become a concern in 2025 or 24 or after 2014. I was ambassador in China from 2009 to 13, and I can tell you the growing trade deficit was an increasing concern for us. Okay, so you have a historical problem, then you have a problem which started maybe about 20, 25 years ago. Then we had some issues which came out of COVID. Okay. Say, for example, the stoppage of air flights, direct air flights, was an outcome of the COVID period. Even the halt to the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, which is now resumed, also happened because of COVID. Then we had the Galwan clash and that very difficult period after that. And then there were steps. By the way, even during COVID, for example, some of the precautions which you took generally with regard to investments, please remember, was actually immediate post-COVID. They were in response to the economic uncertainties of the COVID.
You mean to say press note 3?
No. I think, even some of the investment issues which took place then. Because I think there was worry after COVID about takeover of companies when the valuations were dropping. Okay. So then you had the Galwan clash and that period, and then there were a set of issues which came out of it. So and then I must add to you, there are some issues which are of very recent origin. For example, the magnets for the auto industry. That is an outcome of a Chinese export control policy, which is a few months old. So it's not like there is one problem or one cluster of problems with a certain timeline. It is something, different problems have different histories, you could say, and were at different levels of processing. Now, look at the solution side. Again, you brought up Sindoor. You referred to the fact that now, given what is happening in the current state in the world, I would actually point out to the fact that much of what is happening now, or what was agreed to when Minister Wangi was here, was actually decided last October when President Xi and Prime Minister met in Kazan. Some of it was followed up in November last year when Wangi and I met in Brazil, I think. So, look, it's not what I want you to understand is it's not black and white. It's not something has happened with America, so therefore immediately something has happened with China. I mean, if you are looking at the kind of things we announced now, air flights was not decided now. I mean, we are just operationalizing something we wanted to work out.
So there are